right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D Deep Dive, the show where we dive deep into classes, subclasses, and other features of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons to help you get the most out of your choices. So, today, if you guys know me, you know what today is. We finished the ranger. We got to do the monk. If you are new to D&D deep dive, excuse me. If you are new to D&D deep dive, I'm a monk. Monk is my favorite class. It is a first class I played in 5th edition D&D. It was the first class, and that was way back in D&D Next, and it was at Gen Con, and it was the first. It was the first class I played in the Adventures League. My Shadow Monk Aether actually made it all the way up to level 17 before they stopped writing adventures for tier 4 characters, and I can't play them anymore. That, and they went to this thing where you can't play new content with old characters, which is, we can talk about the Adventure League sometime later. I tried playing a 4th edition monk. 4th edition monks were confusing as hell. I could have used a D&D deep dive on 4th edition monk. I've played 3rd edition monks. I've played 2nd edition monks. I've never played a first edition monk because they are crazy hard to build. You have to have like higher than a 14 and like 4 different attributes. Like it's just nuts. But monks are my the thing. So Tasha's got some new monk stuff. We're gonna go over it. In this video, we're going to talk about the optional class features for the monk, which unlike the ranger, where the class features actually replaced another one, all the rest of the optional class features, aside from a single cleric one, either enhance an ability that's already there, or are just brand new extra features for the class, which I'll explain as I go through them why I'm not particularly fond of the majority of them. But because there's only 4 of them for the monk, and they're relatively simple, I will also be going over the first of the new monastic traditions, which is the subclasses for monk, the Way of Mercy, which I really like. I actually tried to build a monk kind of similar to it. I have it on the DM's Giga Guild. It ain't great. I need to revise it and take it in a different direction because the Way of Mercy does it so much better. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the optional features. So the first optional feature is dedicated weapon. It's a 2nd level monk feature. Effectively, when you finish a short or long rest, you can touch one weapon, and that weapon counts as a monk weapon until you use that feature again. If you're unsure of what a monk weapon is, monks have this ability to use a martial arts die instead of their damage die for their unarmed attacks. And the die gets bigger as they level up. Goes from a D4 up to a D10, which is great. They can also use their martial arts die on what's called monk weapons. And monk weapons will work differently than normal weapons for other classes. So this effectively, but monk weapons are limited to simple melee weapons and short swords. That's it. This expands it, and in order to use dedicated weapon, the weapon has to meet these criteria. It has to be a simple or martial weapon, so it expands it to basically all the martial weapons. You have to be proficient with it, which gives us our first issue, and then it lacks the heavy and special properties. Monks, as a class, are only proficient with simple melee weapons and short swords. So unless you take a feat or have a weapon proficiency from your race, this feature is worthless because you have to be proficient with the weapon in order to use it, and monks are already proficient with all the weapons that can already be monk weapons. So I can kind of see that, well, maybe you're playing an elf monk and they get proficiency with long swords and you wanted to be a long sword monk. I guess. It's a really weird feature to have for a class that is only really useful if you choose a specific race or take a feat that monks generally wouldn't to take, and you're probably not going to get a lot of use out of if you're only taking the feat so that you can use this dedicated weapon feature. The other thing, if you've watched other monk videos I've done, this may sound kind of familiar because this is effectively the Kensei weapon ability. The big difference between it being the Kensei weapon, you just choose a type of a weapon, and all weapons in that to the type, like long swords or whips or whatever, are your Kensei weapons. So you can just pick them up. This one it requires you to touch a weapon, but you can do it after a short or long rest. This is so effectively, but practically it doesn't really change much. And that's one of the big issues I have with a lot of these optional class features, because the Kensei weapon is a defining feature of the Kensei subclass. And this effectively takes away one of the things that makes the Kensei special and gives it to any monk. And you see this a lot with these features where they seem to be taking things that people like from subclasses and things like that and other classes and just making it so anyone can take them, which kind of goes against the idea of a class-based system in general. The difference between a class-based RPG and a skills-based is a skills-based one, you have to worry a lot more about kind of power gaming and things, because when all you have to do is pay the cost for a skill, and it can be in any it can be from anywhere. You can combine skills you normally wouldn't be able to combine, and they turn into really, really broken combos. A class-based system, you are required to actually take a level in that class. There's a limited amount of levels you can take. And the more powerful skills are locked behind higher levels. So that allows them to give classes and subclasses more unique features, so they can do more powerful, more interesting things, because you don't have to worry about, like, for instance, you don't have to worry about mixing a Shadow Monk and the Way of Mercy, which we'll talk about in a second here, where the Shadow Monk can do all this teleporting and cool stuff, and the Way of Mercy can add damage to their attacks. Yeah, that's one of the limiting factors, and this effectively takes away one of those little limiting factors and really devalues the Kensei. So I'm not really a fan of this. I don't see the benefit of it, because if you want to play a monk that is a weapons-based monk, the Kensei is what you're supposed to do. And even if you do get to use a monk weapon, there's still a lot of things that required unarmed strikes in any monk class except the Kensei. So this just seems like a waste of the time. And could much easier be represented by flavoring something like Aether. My Shadow Monk uses a sai for his main weapon. There are no sais in the D&D 5th edition. There's no stat block for it. So all I did is I have a dagger. That's what's listed on my character sheet. It's a dagger, and I just say it's a sai. That's it. Still does piercing damage. Still does a D4. I chose the dagger specifically because you can use a sai offensive or defensively. Sais actually are blunt weapons. They're not bladed at all. But what a lot of people think of when they think of sais is they have like a point and you stab with them. You don't. You smack people with them. But another thing that people that use this as a sai as an actual as a self defense weapon is they would generally have three on them, because one they would throw, and you can throw daggers. So that's why Chichi chose the dagger. If you have someone that you want, if you have a monk character that you want to have kind of a defined weapon, then all you need to do is reskin, flavor a weapon that is already a monk weapon. Like it's not a difficult thing. If you want to be a spear based monk, I'm actually not sure if a spear is a. Let's go to the player's handbook that I have right in front of me. One of these days, I will actually think before I start doing things. Yeah, spear is already a simple weapon. So really, if you want maybe to be a flail based monk, okay, I guess that works. Use a club. Like the difference between a club and a flail is simply the damage die. They both do bludgeoning damage. You're going to be using your martial arts die for it, since it's a monk weapon. So the damage die doesn't really matter. Just flavor things. So yeah, I'm not a fan of dedicated weapon. I think it doesn't make sense. It kind of lessens the value of the kikikensei, and it has no practical use in or out of combat. So, third level monk feature is ki fueled attack. Anytime you spend a key point or more as part of your action on your turn, you can make one attack with an unarmed strike or monk weapon as a bonus action before the end of the turn. Excuse me. This is another one that's just kind of weird. One of the things about martial arts, the actual feature for monks, is if they take the attack action as a bonus action, they can make an unarmed strike for free. It also gives them the option of being able to do flurry of blows if they burn a key point and make 2 unarmed strikes. But it requires you to take the attack action first. This effectively allows you to make that bonus action strike anytime you use your key points as part of your action. So if you do, if you do, like for the Sun Soul monk, if you use one of their Sun Soul abilities where you conjure a radiant energy and fire it off or something, they have effectively a fireball kind of maneuver. You would be able to do an unarmed strike after doing that, which kind of removes some of the weight to choosing that move over making regular attacks. And again, I get the idea that monks generally are built around the idea that they're just always throwing punches, but so many of the things they do already will have them making the attack action and doing punches and the things that this just seems to, again, it adds more uses of something that the monk is already doing, but in doing that, it takes away some of the downsides for some of the attacks that certain monks can do, and some of their abilities, like elemental monks will be able to cast spells and then still make an attack. And that's a balancing mechanic where you have to go, okay, is it going to be more beneficial to do this, or is it going to be more beneficial to do this? And when you start taking away downsides to one of the choices, that becomes the obvious answer every time. And that's not a choice. That's forcing players to play a certain way. You're doing it by rewarding them rather than like limiting them, but it's the same effect that you're forcing players to play a certain way. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Um, Fourth level for features called Quickened Healing. As an action, which if you had kick a key fueled attack would also mean that you could make an unarmed strike or a monk weapon attack as a bonus action if you did this. As an action, you can spend 2 key points and roll a martial arts to the die. You regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled plus your proficiency bonus, which is cool. But this is almost a carbon copy of a Way of Mercy feature that we're going to talk about, which is a defining aspect of the Way of Mercy. Monks can't heal themselves. Way of Mercy monks not only can heal themselves, they can heal other characters. That's why you would choose the Way of Mercy, and this feature really gets rid of that benefit of being a Way of Mercy monk. Now, the Way of Mercy monk, I believe, can do it for less key, but that's the only difference. And technically, when you get to high levels, Quickened Healing will actually heal more than a Way of Mercy monk can, because it uses proficiency bonus instead of wisdom bonus, and proficiency goes up to 6. Wisdom only caps out at 5. So yeah, again, it doesn't make sense that they would add this optional ability in the same book, literally 2 paragraphs away from introducing a class that is built around that feature. So this is another one that I'm just not thrilled about. The last one they have is Focused Aim, which is a 5th level monk feature. Basically, anytime you miss with an attack roll, you can spend between 1 and 3 key points to increase your attack roll by 2 for each key point that you spend, possibly turning a miss into a hit. This is another one that for me personally, I understand, but I think it's just a bad feature. And the reason why is there are significantly better ways to use your key than burning enough so that one of your 3 to 4 attacks per turn is a hit. A stunning strike is a significantly better use for a single key point than this. Flurry of blows can have the same effect as focused aimed, where you what would have been a miss now causes the damage by just giving you an additional attack. This to me just feels like a key point sink. To me, it just feels like at higher levels, monks have as many key points as they have levels in monk. So at higher levels, they can burn through their key really fast, and they get it all back on a short rest. People that don't play monks, playing with a high-level monk will start to get annoyed very quickly with just how many different things a monk can use their key for. Again, that's a defining feature of the monk, is their key. Because of it, they do less damage with attacks than just about any other class. And they have significantly less kind of damaging abilities. Monks are not meant to deal the damage. The reason they attack in general is to add additional effects to it. Things like Stunning Strike is a massive part of being a monk. If you take the open palm, every time you hit, you can knock targets prone or move them, the things like that. Their hits are not meant to do damage. Their hits are meant to control the battlefield. So I could totally see this might be a way to kind of appease people that go, well, monks can do too much at higher levels. They can't. But if you don't understand how to play a monk, then it can seem like key is just overpowered. It's not. And if you have a DM that doesn't understand how monks actually will work, you can use key and flurries and stuff like that to get really broken things happening. Like, you know, the making flurry of blows with weapons instead of unarmed strikes, which is not how flurry of blows works, can cause a lot of issues if you have like a Frostbrand short sword or something like that, because that does extra damage on every hit. Or if a monk multi-classed into a ranger and got hunter's mark, every single hit they would do. Or if they took the magic initiate for the feat and took the hex spell, every single hit that they do gets an extra d6 of damage. Then yeah, it can start feeling really under powerful. If you don't understand how the monk is supposed to be played. So yeah, this is another one that I'm just like, it seems just like a way for you to waste your key points, and that's not a smart way to play a monk. So yeah, those are the optional features. I do not like a single optional feature for the monk. I think every single one of them either takes something away from another monk class or just really doesn't have a purpose. There are already things built into the monk that do what these features are trying to do better. It almost feels like, well, we added these optional features for other classes. We have to do something for the monk. What if we did these? They feel like afterthoughts. So yeah. The Way of Mercy. Way of Mercy monks are heal monks. To put it very, very simply. They're the only monk subclass that can heal. However, there is so much more to a Way of Mercy monk than, ooh, I can heal people. So let's just dive into the actual class right now. Third level, you get two different, or actually the three different abilities. Again, I'm generally not a fan of getting too many things right at the third level, and this one starts flirting with the idea of being a little bit overpowered, but this really massively changes how you play your monk. So in order to do that, they have to take a couple extra steps. So this one's borderline for me, and it might just be the fact that I like monks that I'm not more on it. But the first thing you get at the third level is Implements of Mercy. You gain proficiency in the insight and medicine skills, and you gain proficiency with the herbalism kit. 2 skill proficiencies and a tool proficiency is a lot for a class that's already getting two other features at the third level. So this is the one part where I'm like, this is a little bit. I can understand why they do it, because both insight and medicine are going to be very important to the class. However, this is the only one where I'm like, The other part of Implements of Mercy is you get a special mask, which you often wear when using the features of this subclass. You get to determine what the mask looks like, or you can roll on the Merciful Mask to the table. And the examples they give you are things like raven, black and white, a skull, a butterfly. Effectively, you get a cool mask. If you wanted to play a Plague Doctor to the type character, this is where you would get your Plague Doctor mask. And it would fit really well with the theme of this. So that, I think, is kind of cool. I'm a huge fan of class features giving you flavor instead of just mechanics. And I mentioned that before in the Swarmkeeper one. I like things that give you flavor. I think it's cool. Second, the third level feature you get for Way of Mercy is Hand of Healing. As an action, you can spend 1 key point to touch a creature and restore a number of hit points equal to a roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. And when you use Flurry of blows, you can replace one of the unarmed strikes with the use of this feature without spending a key point for the healing. So this massively changes how the monk plays, because monks in general are hypermobile and can be a bit of a loner type of class. And what I mean by that is monks are faster. They have a higher movement speed than any class other than the barbarian. And with some of their key abilities, they can just run in, do damage, and run out really fast, especially if they're stunning. while they're doing that. So generally, especially when I played my monk, I generally wasn't near the other players very often. I was going around and playing stun monkey while they would focus fire on people that had been stunned, and that's what I did. With Hand of Healing, this really incentivizes your monk to stick close to other players because you have to be within the touching distance to use Hand of Healing. And because when you use Flurry of blows, you can replace one of the blows with this Hand of Healing. Instead of using an action to heal a character, you can use a bonus action, or half a bonus action actually, to heal a character. That's a really big deal. It makes this monk really resilient. The other thing that's nice is it says you can touch a creature, not another creature. So you can do this to yourself. When I flurry of blows, I touch myself. I had to. I'm very sorry. So you can heal yourself, which means in addition to kind of incentivizing being around the rest of your team, if you still want to do the loner thing, you can run into the middle of the fight, take a bunch of blows, and then heal yourself, which actually fits really well with the idea of the monk being an action economy controller. Because if you can get them to hit you, they're wasting their action hitting you, and then you just heal yourself. You don't have to actually, you've effectively just wasted their attacks. And especially if you're using things like patient defense on the turn before, so that they have disadvantage on the attack rolls. This is a really effective way to take actions away from the enemy simply by healing through the damage and not forcing your allies to have to keep you alive. And the fact that you can use it with a flurry of blows means you can still do all your monk cool stuff and stun people and stuff and still be healing yourself. It's a really interesting ability. The third level ability is Hand of Harm, which is why I'm not hugely upset with the fact that you get the 3 different abilities at the 3rd level, because Hand of Healing and Hand of Harm are effectively the same thing that just targets an enemy versus an ally. That's really the only change. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, so this does not allow the use of monk weapons. It has to be an unarmed strike. You can spend 1 key point to deal extra necrotic damage equal to 1 roll of your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier, and you can use this feature only once per turn. Hand of Harm is a monk smite. That's what it is. It is nowhere near as powerful as a smite because it's only a single extra damage die plus wisdom modifier. However, this is something very much so anytime you get a crit, you can add it on. It's a way to use your key points offensively. You can combine this with Flurry of Blows and Hand of Healing and Stunning Strike. It fits really well with the monk. And it makes sense that if you can heal, you can also harm. I like that dichotomy of I can give life and I can take it away at the same time. So yeah, really cool, really interesting. Definitely will change how you play your monk, which is what these subclasses should do. At the 6th level, you get what's called Physician's Touch. When you use Hand of Healing on a creature, you can also end 1 disease or one of the following conditions affecting the creature: blinded, deafened, paralyzed, poisoned, or stunned. When you use Hand of Harm on a creature, you can sub that creature to the poisoned condition until the end of your next turn. So this is another thing that's there's a lot more there than it sounds at a simple reading. Being able to cure conditions using a single key point is massive, especially when, because of that Flurry of Blows interaction, you can attack Flurry of blows as your bonus action, and then unparalyze or unstun an ally right next to you. Blinded and deafened don't tend to be used a ton in 5th edition compared to paralyzed, poisoned, and stun, so you probably won't be dealing with them in much. And deafen just doesn't have as big an impact on anything as everything else. Paralyzed is a really, really bad condition because the auto crit mechanic of any melee attack made within 5 feet, if it hits, it's a crit. So paralyzed is super, super bad. Poisoned can be really, really damaging, not because it hurts you, because everything you do is made at a disadvantage. Poison can actually stop rogues from getting sneak attack, because if you had the disadvantage on the roll, you cannot get a sneak attack. And then the stun condition is a monk thing. They're defined by it. So being able to remove it is really, really useful. If you are fighting basically enemy monks, which I've done to my players before, and it annoys them that it's not an ability that only players have. But yeah, being able to remove this stun condition is really good. But paralyzed and poison are the two big ones. On the flip side, the fact that you can inflict poison without a save is really, really useful. Effectively, that means if you want to poison a creature, which again gives them disadvantage on all ability checks and attack rolls, that's a big deal. It means they're going to miss a lot more often, which fits into that whole action economy control. It means things like grapples and breaking out of grapples are going to fail. It doesn't specifically say saving throws for poison, so it doesn't actually affect your saving throws, which kind of sucks, but it's still, there's so much that poison does. Yeah, just really, really useful ability there, and it just all it does is add a few more utilities to your third level abilities, but it definitely changes how you play the class, and really helps you to be able to do that action economy manipulation that the monk is designed to do. The 11th level ability is Flurry of Healing and Harm. When you use a Flurry of Blows, you can now replace each of the unarmed strikes with a use of your Hand of Healing without spending key points for healing. And in addition, when you make an unarmed strike with a Flurry of Blows, you can use Hand of Harm with that as a strike without spending the key point for Hand of Harm, but you can still only use Hand of Harm once per turn. So, again, this is a lot to unpack for something so simple. You've effectively doubled your ability to heal to the point where, unless you are physically incapable of making an attack, it is in your best interest to Flurry heal instead of just using the regular action Hand of Healing, because you get 2 heals over 1. And again, if you're using this while you're fighting with your allies, that means whoever is near you is going to be significantly harder to kill, especially if you're going up front with like a barbarian, who's another hyper mobile class and is designed to just take punishment. Flare of Healing can be super effective for a barbarian, because due to their rage, they're taking half damage, but when you're healing them, they're healing for full hit points. So yeah, that can be really useful. Hand of Harm again becomes even more useful in the idea that you don't have to burn an additional key point to use Hand of Harm, as long as you're using a Flurry of Blows. Again, because you can't use it more than once per turn, there's no benefit to burning a key point just to add the damage on, instead of using Flurry of Blows and just getting it for free. So this in particular highly incentivizes using Flurry of Blows as much as possible. which again is a defining monk feature, funk meature, monk feature, um, and yeah, like it has been a part of the monk kit since I know it's since second edition. I don't know the first edition monk that well. So yeah, I like that it incentivizes flurry of blows. Neither of these changes damage calculations massively, so this isn't overpowered or anything. It just means that the Way of Mercy monk is going to be flurrying of using flurry of blows often, which I think is great. It's one of the most fun ways to play a monk is by using flurry of blows. So, the final one is you at the 17th level you get Hand of Ultimate Mercy. As an action, you can touch the corpse of a creature that died within the past 24 hours and expend 5 key points. Super expensive. Most key abilities max out at 2. The creature then returns to life, regaining a number of hit points equal to 4d10 plus your Wisdom modifier. And if the creature died while subject to any of the following conditions, it revives with them removed, and it's the blind, deaf, and paralyzed poisons as a stun. And then once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you've finished a long rest. This is a really, really big deal, mostly because of how Revivify and Raise Dead works. For those of you that don't know, I'm going to look up this as a spell really quick here, so I'm not completely wrong with it. Revivify it has to be done within a minute of the creature dying, so it's very, very limited. But it just returns them to life with a single hit point. Raise Dead, on the other hand, you can use it for someone that's been dead for up to 10 days. They still return to life with a single hit point. And they have a -4 penalty to all attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks. And that penalty goes down by 1 for every long rest they take. So it takes 4 days for them to no longer have this negative penalty to effectively everything. And Raise Dead takes an hour. So as far as bringing someone back from the dead, Hand of Ultimate Mercy is massively good. It's an action, so it takes us 6 seconds. They come back with 4d10 plus your Wisdom modifier hit points, not 1. So this can be used mid-combat, and it can actually be useful. You don't have to worry about bring the character back and then watching them die again immediately because they were brought back with a single hit point. The limiting factor that you can only use it once per long rest, I think makes sense, because otherwise this would be an incredibly overpowered thing. But this, again, expands the usefulness of this monk so much to the point where in a situation where you and an ally are really, really hurt, and a mercy monk has to make the choice between healing themselves or healing the ally, it is much more in their interest to heal themselves, let the ally die, and then Hand of Ultimate Mercy them back up, because they'll get 4d10 instead of 2d10. It'll cost more key points, but generally when you're in combat, expending a few more resources for significantly more health, in this case double the amount of health, is definitely worth it. So, final thoughts on the Way of Mercy Monk. I really like it. I've wanted divine based subclasses instead of just divine classes, like a divine based fighter instead of just a paladin. I think it'd be interesting where you don't go full paladin, but you get some, little godly blessings. And the idea of a divine based monk makes perfect sense. Monks are taken from the name for acolytes of temples and things like that. These are people that sequester themselves away to devote their lives to the study of a religion or a way of the thought. So as much as we think of like Shaolin monks and all the martial arts kind of stuff, Shaolin monks study Buddhism. Um, that's part of their training. Now, not every Shaolin monk goes super hardcore into studying Buddhism. Some of them don't even believe in Buddhism nowadays. But still, the idea of a monk, of a divine subclass for the monk makes perfect sense, since traditionally they were focused on religion in general. So I'm a huge. That's why I created my monk. But part of the divine subclasses in general is the ability to heal. And so I do really, really like the idea that while this isn't a divine-based monk in any way, shape, or form, it does have something that a lot of people connect with divine-based classes, which is healing abilities. And the way that they use the healing abilities in here is just really interesting. There's really no other way to say it. It's a different way of healing than any other class. It highly encourages you to play your monk in a very different way. It gives you probably the best resurrection ability in the entire game. I love it. I think it's great. Anyway, that is going to be all for me today. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that little like button. Lets me know you liked it. It lets Google know you like it. And if enough people tell Google they like it, Google might let other people see it so they can like it too. Also, hit the subscribe button. I just started a brand new series called Mastering Astral Projection, which is all about how to run online RPGs without losing that kind of close connectedness that you normally get when you're around the table. So check that out. Subscribe to the channel so that you can see that. That plus all my D&D deep dive episodes. I am doing Mastering Astral Projection in addition to D&D deep dive, not replacing any episodes, so you just get more content. However, that does mean that sometimes things are going to come out at weird times, so be sure to hit the notification bell so that you are notified whenever I put a new video up and you never miss them. In the comments below. I want to know what you guys think of a divine subclass for monks. Again, I know this isn't a divine subclass. We're talking about monks. I have a divine subclass on the DM's Guild. It ain't great. But it's called the Way of the Guided Fist. If you want to see kind of where I was going, you can download that. But otherwise, what do you guys think of a divine-based monk? Do you think it'd be a cool thing to see? Or you think the monk has just moved so far away from kind of the traditional religious roots of a monk that it just doesn't make sense in 5th edition to make a divine subclass? Let me know in the comments below. Again, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time, all right? Bye-bye!